Hello guys. Today we're gonna talk about Willy's Wonderland, Nicolas Cage movie. I'm gonna talk a bit. That on a quick side note, I think at some point I'm gonna do like a Nicolas Cage focused episode. That would be something interesting to see. So keep an eye out on that in the future. I'm gonna cover him at some point. But today we're gonna talk about one of his newer movies, Willy's Wonderland. This thing came out this year, 2021. They have it under TV mature, which is weird, but I guess you can say unrated or R. It's not a kids movie. It's an hour 28. It's not long, so it's a good little quick watch, cinematically standards. It has a 5.6 out of 10 on IMDb with about 14,000 ish user votes. It has that's popularity. I gotta scroll down. I'm using my laptop again. 44 on Metacritic. Now the director of this, his name's Kevin Lewis. Loading's a little slow on this. He also did, what else did he get? Not a ton. Another movie's called The Drop. Most of his known stuff was from late 90s, early 2000s. So this is kind of the most popular thing he's directed in a minute. So, if we took a break, what a great way to come out. Of course, it stars Nicolas Cage, who's been God in gajillion things. Today we'll say National Treasure today, even though he's been in lots of others. It also stars Emily Tosta, who was in, I hope that's how you pronounce it, Tosta. If it's not, then I apologize. She's also been in Mayans MC for so far all the seasons so far, I believe. So she's a known actress, to say the least. Let's see, on Rotten Tomatoes, the movie has 61% by critics with 82 critics and 73% by audiences with about 500-ish audiences. And this does have the critics and audience consensus. The critics' consensus is Willy's Wonderland isn't quite as much fun as its premise would suggest, but it's still got Nicolas Cage beating the hell out of bloodthirsty animatronics, which is nice. That's the critic one. The audience one is similar. The story isn't great, but it's got a fun 80s slasher movie feel, and Nicolas Cage using random objects to destroy homicidal kitty characters. What else do you need? Alright. And then the Just Watch app, it's available to stream on Hulu right now, which is fantastic. It's available to buy on, let's see, which one's the different one? I'll just go through it. It's available to rent and buy on Apple TV, Amazon, Google Play, YouTube, Vudu, Microsoft, Redbox, and Fandango. It is available to buy only on DirecTV. Let me do a head count. Yeah, it's only available to buy in DirecTV. You can't rent it right now. And it is on DVD though. It was released April 13th of this year, so it is on DVD. So let's talk about this thing here. I'm not really gonna say spoilers. It's kind of alluded to in a trailer, so I don't count as something, but it's more of an interesting thing. The main character, Nicolas Cage plays the main guy. He doesn't have a line of dialogue in this thing. He's the silent heroic protagonist, like in all those. This movie's kind of a play on the Friday Nights of Freddy's video game franchise. It's kind of a play on that. It's not the Five Nights at Freddy's characters, but they're Five Nights at Freddy's Spire characters, and they're actually not that bad of characters. They're actually quite colorful cast of characters, which is nice. And this movie is definitely 80s-esque, and I love it. They do such a great job with this movie. I think the biggest thing about this movie people may struggle with is the fact that it's the story itself. If you're not familiar, the story itself is kind of a parody riff on the Five Nights at Freddy and all the other kind of fan game / stories based around it. So it's kind of a play off that. So it's kind of a double-edged sword because on one hand it's kind of a parody and a cool little setup because a movie like this hasn't been done before with a storyline like that. So it's kind of interesting to see. But if you played the games to death, you know it to death. And if you haven't played anything, the story may come across as a little, I wouldn't say cliche, but expected. I mean, it's kind of it's supposed to be a horror comedy, horror parody. The topic they're doing it on, though, it's there's a fine line with it because it can appeal a lot of people, but it can also repel some people if the story isn't exactly, either it's not their thing or they've had a lot of the thing and they're kind of done with it. Um, but positives. Oh, Nicolas Cage is dynamite in this. The last few years since Mom and Dad, I think that's the first time. I mean, Joe was good too, but that was quite a bit before then. He just got into this independent movie craze, and now every indie movie he's been in has been fantastic. This is the only one I've seen so far of those movies. There's Mom and Dad. There's M- M- Matt Maggie. No, not Maggie. Mandy. I haven't seen those. And then there's The Color of Time, The Color of Space. I don't quite remember. And all three of them are supposed to be excellent. I haven't seen them. I want to, but they're supposed to be excellent. It's just kind of interesting that he's finding this fire right now of all these indie movies. And I think because the people he's working with, they're finally kind of getting the idea of how to use Nicolas Cage. Because I think for a while after he kind of left Hollywood for a while, I don't think directors knew how to use him. And plus he kept accepting projects he probably shouldn't have. I don't he was in everything forever and a lot of it was shit, but I think he's at a point now where I don't think he's picky, but I think he's starting to kind of get the hang of what movies work well with them. And I think also directors, like I say, I think directors, and I think they're learning how to do, because Nicolas Cage, I will say this about him, a lot of there's there's a decent amount of actors who give it their all in every movie they're in, but Nicolas Cage, he literally any movie. Not only does he like put all these in, but he'll work on any movie that offers him, of course, money, of course, because he works. It's his job, his career. But he like it doesn't matter if it's like a Hollywood movie or if it's a B grade film. He'll give 110% commitment in it, and I just love it. And he loves doing it. And I just like it's so hard not to like get into a Nicolas Cage movie. No matter how even the movie itself isn't great, as long as he's giving his all and to in a lot of on a lot of ways, but to some extent he's the main focus. It's just so good. And yeah, I mean, granted, not every role he gives us all, and that may hit everybody right way. Some people may be looking for something different he was going for, but yeah, I think with this movie it works, and I love that they made him silent because Nicolas Cage said he went that route because he wanted to mimic like a silent horror film character, kind of give himself that challenge of like emoting like that kind of character without dialogue, like silent film stars did, and silent film horror movies like Nosferatu and them. And I thought that is perfect. And it fits with this because a lot of horror video games that this is a riff off horror video games, a lot of them, like 90% of them or whatever, a majority at least, the protagonists are silent. So it's kind of interesting to see that like blend right there. The other characters, they serve their purpose. They definitely have some humor in them. The the second the girl, I forgot her name already. I think let me look it up. Um, Emily, the actress Emily Tosta. She plays the another heroic character. She the weird interesting thing about this movie is that this movie definitely is a parody in horror because what I like, it's kind of turning the cliche on its head with the teenagers going off to set things right, to right the wrongs, get rid of the evil, and it kind of flips it on its head because the characters are making such a big deal about it. And Nicolas Cage, it's no secret that he kicks ass in that place that he's in. Those animatronics. I mean, it's all over everywhere, so it's not a spoiler. Um, so it's kind of weird to see them make a big deal about defeating him. Nicolas Cage is treating it as a walk in the park, and this movie is funny, and there's some creepy moments too, but I wouldn't call this like, but it's definitely a horror comedy. But there's some good horror elements in it for sure. There's no slouch there. I just think people were. I don't know what people were expecting with this thing. I think people were expecting like the movie to take its subject matter maybe a bit more seriously or something like that. Maybe people were expecting more of a Friday Nights at Freddy's clone and it wasn't quite that. I think this movie was just doing a send up on a lot of different things and I think people appreciate it and they still loved it nonetheless, but I think people were still kind of expecting something else. But I don't know. I love it. I mean, the special. Let's go over just a quick rundown of the. I mean, there's not really any flaws in this movie. The special effects are great. The cinematography solid. The soundtrack is great. Um, and oh my god, funny. This movie is very funny. I mean, Nicolas Cage is like great in this. And the side characters, they have some good moments, funny moments too, but they seem more. Nicolas Cage is the one character that doesn't feel stuck in like the joking parody horror cliche. You know, that's the one thing with it. Everyone, all the other characters are kind of. It's definitely a mock satire of that kind of stuff, and there's a lot of '80s in this movie. I'm starting to notice that quite a bit. A lot of indie movies, some A movies, but a lot of like indie movies taking a lot of 80s influences. And it's been going on for years, which I'm surprised how much that is getting love. I mean, even because I'm more surprised now because it's been going on for so long, and usually at some point we move to the next decade, but we really haven't. It just kind of makes me wonder, like what it just kind of goes into the topic of like trends and how long they're gonna stick around. It's just one of those. It's just another topic. But yeah, overall, this movie's great. I definitely recommend checking it out. Um, direction's great. Yeah. The script solid. The story's solid. I mean, it would have. I think the only thing I would have done a bit more is maybe. To be honest, I'm not quite sure what I would have done differently. I mean, I think if I watch it again and I really kind of look at it, I could probably find maybe a couple things I could have been like, oh, they could have done that, or they could have done this, or maybe that. But it's nitpicks. I really hope there's a sequel, though. You know, something with this character in this world. I really hope there's something. Because I would love to see more of this kind of thing with Cage. But yeah, guys, that's all I have to say. It's a solid movie. It's out on DVD. It's streaming. Go ahead and check it out. I'm interested in your thoughts on that movie and Nicolas Cage in general. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. In case you want to chat with me, Mike, or anyone else at the Campy Company, you don't want to use the YouTube comment section, we do have a couple options. The first one is we have a Discord channel. You can find a link to that in About page / About section of our channel. We also have a discussion tab in our channel as well, and you can access that through a PC or laptop computer. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like the videos, and have a good day.